Welcome back to Wheels in Motion. Now, responsible driving requires knowing the rules of the road, legal rules and safety rules.
These cover everything from making a right turn to crossing railroad tracks to littering. Get ready. We're about to review a slew of these rules.
Ryan Wickerham has the first in this series of reports.
It can be a high-anxiety situation. You're trying to enter the freeway. Cars on the freeway are whizzing by. You're trying to keep an eye on the cars in front of you. Drivers in the cars behind you are eager for their chance to merge. It can be chaotic, and you're the one at the gate.
Actually, a merge is probably one of your highest risk maneuvers that you do as a driver.
Dr. Terry Klein with Eastern Kentucky University is a leading authority on driving safety and an expert on traffic rules.
It's really a rather tricky maneuver because what we're asking you to do as a driver is pay attention to both the things happening in front of you, the things happening behind you, and the things happening 2 lanes to your left or 2 lanes to your right.
Dr. Klein says this complicates things because as human beings, we can really pay strict attention to only one thing at a time. So as tense as it may be, you've got to learn how to merge if you want to enter a freeway.
The bottom line is that you have to prepare for a merge sooner.
Dr. Klein says to prepare for a merge well before you're actually ready to merge. Identify a gap between cars on the freeway where you can merge. Then, continue increasing your speed until you reach the gap you selected. Dr. Klein says instead of increasing speed, drivers have a tendency to actually slow down before merging. A big mistake.
You have cars behind you coming up, they're trying to enter at speed themselves, so you could cause a chain reaction type collision behind you as well.
Dr. Klein says drivers tend to minimize the dangers in merging, and that there are actually more crashes that happen during merging than during passing.
Once on the freeway, adjust your speed to keep a cushion of space around your car.
The closer you get to a car around you, the more they drive you and the less you driving yourself. You become their puppet. They brake, you brake. They speed up, you speed up. They stop suddenly, you stop suddenly.
Finally, once you've merged and adjusted your speed, you probably will change lanes at some point. Some quick pointers. Look around you for a large enough space to move into. Use your mirrors. Turn your head to look quickly to the side before changing lanes. Then make your lane change. Changing lanes, keeping space around your car, and merging. Each is a critical task in our driving experience. This is Ryan Wickerham.
When you merge with other traffic, you are all moving. When you cross or enter traffic, you are starting from a complete stop. This is an entirely different scenario from merging. You need more time and more space to get up to the speed of other cars on the road.
It seems like I have to sit here forever before I can pull out, but it's so hard to judge the speed of the traffic coming up. I don't want to cross over unless I'm sure I won't get hit.
A general rule is that if there are no cars coming from either direction for at least a half a block on a city street, then you should have enough time and space to cross. If you want to cross highway traffic, then you need to wait until there are no cars for a full block in either direction before you pull out. Before you pull out, look not just to the left and right, but straight ahead too. Make sure no cars or people are in your way. If there are, you could get trapped in the middle of the road with other cars coming. And even if you are at a controlled intersection, be careful.
Well, a green light is a green light. It means it's safe to go. I have the right of way, don't I?
Not necessarily. Even if you have the green light, you may have to stay put. Remember, a red light for the other driver is not a physical barrier. If cross traffic or traffic in your own lane ahead of you has not cleared the intersection, then you should not start across. In fact, it is against the law to enter an intersection if there is not enough space to get completely across. This is Katina McHenry.
Another common maneuver is passing in the lane of oncoming traffic. It's common, but it's not always safe and must be done cautiously.
It becomes a danger because of the judgment factors that we don't judge distance very well.
The problem is twofold.
It's hard to tell how long it's going to take to accelerate to get past the car we're trying to pass. And it's hard to tell how close the car is in the oncoming lane and how fast that car is traveling towards you.
It's risky business because drivers have a hard time judging that dynamic movement.
If you do plan to pass, keep this in mind. An oncoming car or truck does not seem to be traveling as fast as it really is. Here's a good rule of thumb. If an oncoming car is far enough away that it does not seem to be moving at all, then it is generally far enough away for you to safely make your pass. But if you can see that oncoming car is moving, then it's a different story.
If you go out there to look and you see that car looks like it's moving towards you, you better tuck back in again because you're probably too close.
There are other times when it is not safe to pass. If your view is blocked by either a hill or a curve, don't pass. Assume there is an oncoming car or truck just out of sight. Passing requires extreme caution because of the threat of having a head-on collision.
When you talk about having a head-on collision, you're talking about doubling and tripling the forces, and maybe the forces even quadruple, depends on your speed and the nature of the car coming towards you.
Also, avoid passing at intersections. This includes intersecting roads, railroad crossings, even entrances to shopping centers. If you are on a two-lane road, pass only on the left. It is dangerous and usually illegal to pass on the right. The exception is when a car ahead of you signals to make a left turn. If the car in front of you is stopped to make a left-hand turn, never pass to his left. Instead, you may pass to his right on the shoulder. In any event, experts urge drivers to not take passing lightly. It's a common driving task that requires utmost caution. This is Jim Angelo.
What goes up must come down, and what gets on must get off. That's how it is with driving on freeways or highways. At some point, you have to exit, but we don't always do it well.
The next time you get off at an exit, look at the little poles that mark the exitway. Look how many of them are knocked down. It's telling you something, isn't it? Look how many skid marks are on exits.
One mistake is when drivers miss their exit or nearly miss it because they simply haven't checked in advance to see what exit they need to take.
If you're going to drive in a place that you're not familiar with, either review where you're going to go ahead of time or have a navigator with you.
Otherwise, Dr. Klein says you're setting yourself up for a last-minute decision. And last-minute decisions often lead to losing control of your car. Authorities also suggest changing lanes just one at a time, starting well in advance of your exit and with your turn signal on. Finally, experts say to exit at a safe speed, not too fast because you might lose control, and not too slow because you might block other traffic. This is Kimberly Dykeman.
One of the most common places for a crash to happen is an intersection. Usually, someone fails to yield the right-of-way to someone else.
There are established rules for who is to yield to whom in specific situations. Let's run through some. The first one's easy, a controlled intersection. Traffic flow is controlled by either signs or signals. The rule? Obey them.
Next, intersections not controlled by signs or signals. All right, now this is a little trickier, okay? In this situation, yield to vehicles that are already at the intersection. So if two vehicles approach the intersection at the same time, then yield to the car on your right.
What do you think a driver on a single or a two-lane road should do when the road intersects with a road with 3 or more lanes? The driver on the 1 or 2-lane road must yield to the driver on the road with more lanes.
All right, now let's look at a T intersection, where we have a driver on a through street and another on a street that dead ends into a through street. Who's got the right of way?
The driver on the through street.
You got it, exactly.
Finally, what does a driver do when an access road meets a highway exit ramp? A driver on an access road must yield to drivers exiting the highway.
Now look, despite all these different scenarios, it's important in every situation to drive as if you are the one giving the right-of-way. Never assume someone's going to give you the right-of-way. Driving in this frame of mind will make us all safer.
Now that's a lot of different intersection scenarios.
That's right. And there are even more types of lane situations to deal with. Let's see, we've got solid white lines, broken white lines, solid yellow lines, broken yellow lines.
Not to mention solid and broken lines that run right against each other.
I think we get the picture.
No matter how you look at it, there's a lot of painting going on out there on the highway.
We sent a crew out to ask folks about what different lane markings mean. The first question, what does a white line on a road mean?
A white line just marks where the street is divided.
White lines, no left turn.
So maybe the answers aren't so obvious. Now, here's driving instructor Joel Behrens with the correct answer.
A white line means the traffic is generally moving in the same direction. For example, a one-way street. If you have a dotted white line, you're allowed to cross that. If you have a solid white line, you're not allowed to cross that. In general, white lines just means that traffic's moving in the same direction.
Then we asked, what do broken yellow lines mean?
Broken yellow line? Means you're on a freeway, right?
It means you're in an area where you should drive with caution.
Okay, what does a solid yellow line and a broken yellow line mean next to each other?
That means you can't stop. You just have to keep on going.
It means, I don't know, the lane is coming to an end?
Okay, so how about two solid yellow lines?
Two solid yellow lines, that's serious. It means you really have to pay attention to what's going on. It means watch out, danger ahead.
Well, were they right? Here's driving instructor Linda Langhorne Donaldson to tell us what all these yellow lines really mean.
The yellow lines really mean traffic is moving in two directions, basically a two-lane road. However, if you have a solid line and a broken line, it means the person on the side with the solid line cannot pass. The person on the side with the broken line can pass with caution. However, if there are two solid lines, that means neither party can pass in either direction.
A few more points on using lanes. If you drive on a road with two or more lanes going in the same direction, the right lane should be used for slower moving traffic and for making right turns, and the left lane should be used for making left turns or for passing. And if there are three lanes going the same direction, it's best to stay in the center lane.
Some cities have special lanes for buses and for carpools. These are sometimes called high occupancy vehicle, or HOV lanes. These lanes are marked by a diamond symbol.
Sometimes you will see bicycle lanes. These are marked by a solid white line and a sign. Do not enter a bicycle lane unless you're making a right turn. And even then, make sure you look for bicyclists in your path before you turn.
And crosswalks. These are lanes for people on foot or in wheelchairs. When you stop at an intersection, you must stop before the crosswalk.
And finally, always be alert to any person using a guide dog or a cane, wherever that person might be.
Okay, let's talk about making turns. It seems so basic, right? But as with passing, merging, and changing lanes, it's these ordinary driving tasks that are so easy to do wrong.
Let's just see how familiar we are with all the turning rules.
All right, here we go. What's the first thing you need to do before you make a turn? Nope, you see, you're already starting off wrong, Liesl. You are. All right, now the first thing to do is make up your mind to turn. Now, generally, give your turn signal at least a full city block before you turn. If you miss your turn, keep going. It's all right, until you can safely exit and turn back. Once you start a turn, though, follow through.
If you plan to make a right-hand turn, like this driver, get close to the right edge of the road. Watch for pedestrians and people on bicycles. If you are turning at an intersection, look left, then right, then left again. If all is clear, make your turn. Don't turn wide, but stay in the right lane until you've finished your turn.
When you want to turn left, get close to the center divider line or into the left turn lane if there is one. Turn left only when you see that it's safe.
Can you turn right on a red light? Answer, yes you can, unless there is a sign posted that prohibits doing so. The only time you can make a left turn at a red light is when both the street you're on and the street you want to turn onto are both one-way streets.
Right turns, left turns, now U-turns. If you make a U-turn, make it from the far left lane, but do not make a U-turn under any circumstance if you're in front of a fire station or on a one-way street. must cross a no passing zone, cannot clearly see in each direction, or if there's a no U-turn sign posted.
Signs. They're everywhere along the roadway. Above us, below us, and to our side. Ryan Wickerham has more.
Some rules have exceptions. Not this one. A red light means stop. Period. Whether it's a regular stoplight, a flashing light, or a red arrow. A green light, whether it's a regular light or a green arrow, means go. But with a green light, there is an exception. You can't go until the intersection is clear. Clear of all cars, pedestrians, bicyclists. Then there is the yellow light.
A yellow light means speed up.
At a yellow light, if you're from out of town, slow down. If you're in your neighborhood, you might be able to keep going, but it only depends on the situation. But more or less, slow down.
Okay, let's get this straight. When you see a yellow light, slow down, then stop at the stop line or crosswalk, if you can stop safely. How about this sign? It's pretty obvious what it means, or maybe not. Sit back and watch. Okay, I guess this guy stops for about a second. He stopped, but it's a good thing there was no one in the crosswalk. Let's see what this driver does. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And this one. And this one.
I believe people run stop signs because they don't realize they're there.
We just don't want to wait. We have to get there. We have to be somewhere by 4 and then be somewhere by 5 and be somewhere by 6. So we run them.
Where exactly should a driver stop when approaching a stop sign? In Texas, it depends on how the intersection is marked. There are 3 scenarios.
1, if there is a painted crosswalk, then stop before the crosswalk. 2, if there is no crosswalk, then stop before what is called the painted stop bar. That's the wide white paint strip on the pavement near the stop sign. The 3rd scenario, if there is neither a painted crosswalk nor a painted stop bar. If you approach an intersection like this, then stop so that you have optimal visibility through the intersection. If visibility at the intersection is poor, first stop behind the stop sign. Then creep forward until you can see clearly. Sure enough, running stop signs or red lights is one of the biggest causes of crashes.
We're trying to do things to shortcut time as much as we can. And the biggest thing I see with drivers, they don't recognize what consequences could be.
Dr. Klein says not stopping at stop signs, like so many other driving problems, is habitual. And it takes a deliberate effort to change.
It takes us 28 times of doing it correctly to rechange that habit.
A yield sign. It means slow down. Be ready to stop. Let any traffic, pedestrians, or people on bicycles pass before you continue. A few other signs. Do not enter. And one-way signs often appear near each other. If you're facing one of these signs, you're going the wrong way. Turn around or back up. These are prohibition signs. They simply mean no. No parking, no U-turns, and so on. Speed limit signs help regulate the flow of traffic. It's both dangerous and illegal to ever drive faster than the posted speed limit.
It also is dangerous and illegal to drive the posted speed limit if the weather or other conditions make it hazardous to drive that fast.
If it's rainy or foggy, for instance, you may need to slow down to 40 miles per hour, even though the speed limit says 70. Pay attention to minimum speed limits, too. Driving too slow can be a problem if you block the reasonable flow of traffic. In school zones, speed limits are usually 15 or 20 miles per hour. Keep an eye out for children and school buses. When school buses flash yellow lights, that's a sign that the bus is about to stop. It's your warning to prepare to stop. When the red lights on the school bus start flashing, you must stop, whether you are following or approaching the bus. Stay stopped until all children have safely gotten on or off the bus. A bus is a huge obstacle blocking a child from your view, and you from the child's. You cannot proceed until one of three things happen. Either the bus resumes motion, the bus driver signals you to proceed, or the bus lights stop flashing. Even then, use great caution. You never know when a child might trip and fall, or there might be some other unexpected event that would call for you to stay stopped. Also, be extra careful with your speed in residential areas. The speed limit is 30 miles per hour in most residential areas. Warning signs are generally diamond-shaped. They indicate warnings such as you are approaching crossroads, pedestrians may be ahead, or your lane is about to end. Then there is the round sign. It means check for a train.
It's the only round sign we have on the roadway, but it's the one we most frequently ignore.
Guide signs are blue, brown, or green and give directions to places such as rest areas, hospitals, and airports. So if you're on the road, odds are you won't have to look far to find some kind of sign giving some kind of important information. This is Ryan Wickerham.
We want to bring special attention to the railroad crossing sign. In the United States, someone is hit by a train about once every 2 hours. Kimberly Dykeman tells us these crashes are almost completely avoidable.
When a train and a car collide, the train wins every time.
If you would take a Coke can and put it on the roadway, and then you would drive over it with your car, that's the same as a train hitting your car. Same weight ratio. The same thing happens in a car. Gets hit by a train, flattens out the car, any contents in it get spread out all over the place. That includes a person.
For some, trains present an illusion. From a distance, it may look like they are traveling slower than they really are, but they can be on top of you before you know it. Some even think a train can stop to avoid you. In truth, a train traveling at 50 miles per hour will take a full mile and a half to come to a stop. Sometimes, car-train crashes happen just because drivers want to beat the train. Traffic safety expert Dr. Terry Klein says this is a societal problem.
In our society, we're taught to be competitive in everything we do. We're taught to be competitive all the way through. Then all of a sudden, we're getting thrust into a situation where we're a driver, and now we're told, don't be competitive. Be more responsible. Play fair. When you get behind the wheel of a car, you got to switch gears in another type of learning environment, another type of social environment, where you're working with people instead of against them.
Indeed, highway rail deaths are almost completely preventable. Follow these rules. If you're at a railroad crossing, always assume a train is coming. Always be ready to yield to the train. Never drive around a lowered gate or go past flashing red lights. Never race a train to a crossing. If you tie, you lose. Never drive onto a crossing unless there is room to get off the other side. You don't want to get stuck on the tracks. Watch for a second train when you cross multiple tracks. Don't walk, cycle, or ride ATVs on or near the railroad tracks. Cross tracks only at designated crossings. Stay off bridges and out of tunnels. Finally, if your car stalls on a crossing, get out immediately and call the police for help.
Almost half of all crashes at railroad crossings happen at crossings that do not have automatic gates and flashing lights to warn motorists when a train is coming. This makes it even more important for drivers to be alert and take these railroad crossing signs seriously. Just remember, when a car and a train collide, the train wins every time. I'm Kimberly Dykeman. Here's another rule. This one is about emergency vehicles. All drivers must yield the right-of-way to any police car, fire engine, ambulance, or other emergency vehicle which is using its siren, bells, or flashing lights. If one of these vehicles approaches, pull as close to the right edge of the road as possible and stop. Stay stopped until the emergency vehicle has passed. Do not stop in an intersection. If you're in an intersection when the emergency vehicle approaches, Then continue through the intersection and pull to the right as soon as you can.
There are also legal requirements for how you approach an emergency vehicle when it's stopped and has its lights flashing. If you approach a situation like this and are on a highway with 2 or more lanes traveling in the same direction, then you are to do one of 2 things. Either vacate the lane closest to the emergency situation, or, if you cannot change lanes, slow down to 20 miles per hour below the speed limit, or to 5 miles per hour when the posted speed limit is less than 25 miles per hour.
Texas law requires all drivers to be able to prove that they are financially responsible for their actions when they drive and for all motor vehicles which they own.
Although there are several ways to prove this, most drivers choose to buy a liability insurance policy as their proof.
If you have a crash and you cannot prove financial responsibility, your license may be suspended.
State law also requires that hospitals offer organ and tissue donation as an option to families who lose a loved one. Has organ donation ever touched your life? Have you ever thought about it? Well, here's one man's story.
We were on our way to go downtown to pick up some groceries at the grocery store. And our daughter Amy was riding in our car with us at that time. And as we were driving through an intersection, a 4-way intersection, which we stopped at, and we looked and checked and pulled on out, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came a car that crashed into the side of us at the speed of 45 miles an hour. We were going estimated at about 15 miles an hour when the crash took place. We were in the city center of the town, right in the center of our own community, 4 blocks from my house, when this crash took place. We were hit so hard that it spun us completely around, and we made 2 complete 360-degree circles. The whipping action of our car propelled my daughter through the window on the side of a full-size station wagon and blew her right out the side window. She flew about 75 feet from the car, from the impact of the car that hit us. I knew that my daughter was in very, very bad shape. I knew that she was close to death. The neurosurgeon came and said, "You have to make a decision. I can tell you right now she's on life supports, but literally your daughter Amy is dead. She's brain dead. There is no way, no shape, form that she will survive." And they asked if we might be interested in donating any vital organs that were in good shape and could be used in transplant process. We made that decision in the evening to be able to tell that yes, we can do that, and we'd be fully supported of doing it. We had no idea who were the recipients. We had no idea if they survived or they didn't. About, I would say, 15 years ago, we were told that one person wanted to know if it was okay if he would write a letter to us. We would not know the name, but we would know the story of this person. And we said yes, it would be. And one day in the mail came a white envelope with a letter inside of it. The letter said, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me life." It was a recipient of a kidney. And he went on to say to us that he had a family of 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, his wife and himself, and that he was an architect at this point, a very successful architect. And he was very, very thankful for us. And he wanted to share with us that Amy is still alive with me. One part of her is still alive with me. By that time, the tears were streaming down my face, as well as my wife's. We also received a note from a physician in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He said, "I received 2 parts of your daughter a number of years ago when I was a younger person, and I have since gone on to become a surgeon at one of the hospitals in Pittsburgh, and I want to thank you for giving me the gift of life so I could become a person who could save other people."
Mr. Rosini says these letters reassured him that the decision to donate his daughter's organs was the right thing to do. Now, if you'd like to be an organ donor, take a couple of steps. Get a tissue and donor card and keep it in your wallet. And discuss your wishes with your loved ones. Now, authorities say that if loved ones know you want to be a donor, then they are more likely to see that that happens in the event of a fatal crash. Contact your Department of Public Safety for information on where to get a tissue and donor card.
Finally, a word on litter. There are laws on that too.
Okay, so what is litter? Litter can be anything from a candy wrapper or cigarette butt to motor oil to a junked washing machine. And why should we care?
There are many reasons. Littering is bad for public health, it's bad for the environment, it's costly to clean up, and it's just plain ugly.
I'm with you on that, Liesl. Absolutely. So what can we do to help? A lot. Here are a couple of suggestions. Keep a litter bag in the car and use it. And do not transport any unsecured debris in the back of a pickup. Almost half of all roadside litter flies out of the back of pickup trucks.
By the way, you can face up to a $500 fine for throwing litter out of your car. Repeat offenders can be fined up to $2,000 and face up to 180 days in jail.
When a car hydroplanes, the most important thing that someone needs to remember is don't panic.
Hydroplaning, just ahead on Wheels in Motion. This concludes Section 2 of Wheels in Motion. Please take a 12-minute break. After your break, you'll be allowed access to the Wheels in Motion Quiz Center.